everyone. Welcome to Bald Meets Beard Sports Report. This is our first episode, as it shows in the entry card. So please bear in mind that we are very new to this. We're young. We're trying to get better. We go over a variety of sports, international, domestic. A little information. My name is Victor Sepulveda. I live in Los Angeles. My co-host is Joseph. He lives in Detroit, so a little bit of a time delay there. When we started this podcast, we didn't know what to name it. I just came up with the name a couple of hours ago, so please bear in mind. But I hope you guys enjoy the show. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to our first episode of Confusing Sports. We talk about sports in any way, any shape, any form. Nothing but raw emotions, occasional stats, but we'll get into that. Today we're going to cover a variety of topics. Actually, I should have introduced myself first. My bad. My name is Victor Sepulveda, and I have my co-host to my right here,
Joe Miller.
Perfect. We're going to talk about a variety of things today. We're going to start off with the F1 race from this weekend, which was a doozy. Joe, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, well, the Japanese Grand Prix was honestly kind of shocking considering the weather, and there wasn't really that much action, not a lot of overtaking. You know, the top six finished the way they started on the grid. It was the first time where one of the original races actually kept the 1 through 6 order, and there was no overtakes or anything. So I just found that to be really interesting.
Yeah. Max, obviously, his dominance and his skills, he's a different driver every time he gets in that seat. Yeah, he just unbeatable. If you put him in a great car, he will always overtake you. So he made history this weekend. He won his 4th straight Japanese Grand Prix. But enough about Max. Let's talk about McLaren and their mishandling of the race. We had Piastri, who had a better pace for most of the race. While Lando is a great driver, absolutely, Lando should be number 2. Piastri had great pace the entire race, from the beginning to the end. Lando had that middle section where after the pit stop, he was he almost perfection. But what are your thoughts on that?
I thought their pit strategy was poor. You know, Mercedes, Kimi was able to stay on the medium set for 33 laps. And I thought McLaren should have done that with one of their drivers. They pitted Oscar 3 laps before Max and Lando pitted. And I think if they would have kept Lando out and managed the tires a little bit better, then they could have got a 1-2 or a 1-3 and arguably a 1-2 because Oscar's pace was faster than Max. So I think they should have left Lando out instead of pitting him behind Max. And then you got that mishap coming out of the pit lane, which was probably the most exciting part of the race in my opinion.
Absolutely. And that was just insane. I didn't realize that we had lawnmowers out there all of a sudden, but no, yeah, it was insane. I genuinely saw that, and I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, Max should have let him in," but he's driving a straight line. He's no need to move. Yeah,
you can't move left because of the pit lines. You can't cross the pit lines, and you can't go over the pit speed. Lando accelerated, trying to squeeze in. Max has nowhere to go. He has to go into the grass or into the side of Max. So
yeah, exactly, and it just obviously some frustration because Lando, great driver, like I said, he wanted that first. Honestly, had he gotten out before Max, probably would have won the race. But, I mean, it's not really much of a problem other than, you should have let Oscar overtake Lando at one point. Like, you should have had that swap so you could, I don't know, maybe get that 1-3 at that point. Because I don't think Lando would have outpaced Max at that point. But Oscar, absolutely. Like, Oscar was he was ready for it. He had the pace. He had the lap times, the turn times. It was all beautiful, and I think it was a mishandling of tactics by the McLaren team,
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
big time.
And so we'll see. I believe I'm not sure where they're racing this week. I'm not sure if you have.
Oh man, now I gotta look.
Look it up. No worries. Yeah. So
Bahrain.
Perfect. Look at that.
Bahrain.
And I think the sprints start tomorrow.
Yeah, practices.
Yeah, that's what it
F1
is.
FP2s tomorrow, FP3 and qualifying Saturday, Sunday morning. Morning 11 a.m. for me, a little earlier for you, but
8 a.m. is not too much of a problem for
no,
me. I'd rather it
it's
be 8 a.m. than
not
the
a
last
not
two
a
1
late night
a.m.s.
race,
Yeah.
not a midnight race.
Makes
So
it a lot better for us at this point.
yeah, I don't have to stay up super late.
Exactly. But no, yeah. And lastly, I mean, we'll touch on this last subject before we intercede with Albon's incredible rage moments. Unsure what happened there. You know, you guys probably know more than us, but that was just, it was amazing. Middle of the race, little subplot of the race was Albon screaming at his team. Lord knows what happens there. But the last subject we'll touch on for F1 is going to be Yuki. He finished 12th. You know, what, like, not a great performance, but solid. You know, better than what Liam offered, but still not. You know, it's really clear that Yuki wasn't comfortable with the car. You could see it. His turns weren't as tight. His time wasn't great. You know, but it's a solid performance. That's kind of what you want to see from your up and rising driver.
Yeah, and it's an upgrade from what Liam's been doing. You know, Liam really struggled, kind of got almost thrown into it. The first race in Australia, never raced there. He's racing in the rain, so both of those are going to be a struggle. And then China, he's got one practice and a sprint weekend, so he goes 20th and 20th in those in qualifying, and he's never raced there either. So I don't think he got a ton of time in that car, especially with those two circuits being the first on the calendar. Whereas he's raced Japan, he's raced Bahrain that's coming up. So I think Red Bull should have maybe given him a little more time. But Yuki has more experience racing in F1, and he did better than what Liam did. But my thing is, I just think that Red Bull car is not one of the top four cars on the grid. I think obviously McLaren's got the best car. I think Mercedes, Ferrari, and then where would you put Red Bull? I mean, the V carbs look better than the Red Bull does right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I mean, I forget who else is on the Racing Bulls. It's
Isaac Hajar.
dude, he was racing great.
Hey,
He raced amazing. I
phenomenal.
think he was
Yep.
he was top 5 for a good minute there. Obviously, he's still at the pit, which not ideal, but I mean, he was his he had great pace. He was racing well, like, well adjusted. That V car is amazing
Scored
too.
points. Yep.
You might put that above the Red Bull car. It's just
Yeah.
insane because it should be the sub car.
And Alex in the Williams. Williams looks good. Carlos, I still think he's getting still a little adjusted to that car as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, Williams, the car looks good. It's fast. I would argue that they're top 5 car on the grid.
Absolutely.
And I only think Red Bull is where they are in the constructors because obviously Max is the only one who scored points for them this season. But I think it's just that Max is just that good. He's the best driver in the world.
Just dominant from beginning to end. Even like, in that car, man, winning a single race in that car is amazing.
Well, like he said after the race too, he said if I was in the McLaren, no one would have saw me.
Oof.
And I agree. He would have been.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it earlier in the week. If we saw Max even in a Mercedes, which his contract is up this year. His contract is up after this year. So if we see Max in a Mercedes, or Lord knows what Cadillac's going to bring next year.
I don't think he'll go to Cadillac.
You never know. You never know. Hey, someone's got to hold hope, you know?
Yeah.
But I just know, like you said, if Mercedes number 2 car, absolutely Ferrari 3, if you see Max in either one of those colors, oh my goodness, he might be right. You might never see him. You might never see him.
We'll see him at the starting line, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Say bye from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great race this week. Obviously, we got Bahrain, you said, this weekend, so excited to watch that. But let's move on to another major thing that happened this last month, March Madness, because holy smokes, what a tournament. You had upsets from the beginning all the way into the end, the SEC on the rise again. But we'll start off with Florida won it all. Insane. But they were kind of predicted to make it all the way. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Florida throughout the year was one of, if not the most consistent team. Them and Houston, to be honest, were the most consistent teams throughout the season. And Florida really turned it on towards the end of the season and into the SEC tournament. And then by the time March Madness rolled, they're looking to be, they're the best team in the country, arguably better than Duke, just more consistent. And they really got down in a few of those games. I think there was 3 games where they were losing by 10 points or more, and they came back and overcame that. They were down 12 at one point to Houston, came back and won. They were down 8 Auburn at halftime in the Final Four, came back and won those games. So I think Florida is deserving of that national championship, and they played phenomenal throughout the tournament, especially in the back end of a lot of those games.
Yeah, because that just like you said, they were down 12 in the final to Houston. They were down 8 at one point, I believe, to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. That was the matchup, and it just like you see
No,
that.
they were down to Arkansas as well
Oh,
in the
and you're
in
right.
the
They were down. Oh God, that was a bigger point differential. I think that was also
or
around
the sweet
10.
or I'm sorry, in the Sweet 16 they were down to, I would have to look. They were down to someone by over 10.
Yeah,
The
yeah. But like you said, they just, I mean, consistency, just the grit to win it. And I mean, hey, they're champions. They're bringing the SEC back up. And because we've seen it was the big blues the last couple of years. It was Kansas, it was Kentucky, it was Duke, North Carolina, which like all four of those teams, you didn't really see much of them this year. Duke,
other
obviously,
than
yes, because of Cooper Flag, but man, it's the SEC is on the come up, and we all should be scared again for the next couple of years of the SEC. But I mean, yeah, obviously we'll talk about Florida enough, but Houston, what Houston, we
that
have
was
a
bad.
problem. What was that last play?
Yeah, their last shot in the game was with a minute 40 left. That was the last shot that they took in the game.
That was just insane. That last, that's the last shot, a minute 40. I didn't even know that. I watched, the last minute, and you're right. I don't think I saw him take a single shot. And that last play, all you needed was two
You just
points.
gotta put it up. You just
Yeah,
hope.
and it
They couldn't even
just
they couldn't even get a shot up.
you couldn't. And a lot, I understand. I did see something on social media that said, "Oh, there's 2 points that Florida had that could have changed the game because there was a
With the
goaltending."
goaltending.
Yeah, and it wasn't called, and I didn't see it until then. But I mean, that does affect the end of the game. 2 points. That's what Florida wins by.
It does, but at the end of the day, you still gotta shoot the ball.
Exactly.
You gotta put the ball in the hoop, and you gotta score. And they didn't do a lot of that in the last 5 minutes of the game. They were up 12, leading the national championship. You got it in your hands. All you gotta do is just match them or don't get outscored by 12.
Oh, match their point. Yeah, exactly. Match their points. And like you said, they didn't take a single shot in the last minute 40. You can't match someone by not taking a shot.
Yeah,
That's insane.
very
That's
bad.
insane. But I mean, there's not much that there's not much that they can do now. I mean, next year, I believe I didn't see what the class was this year. I think they had a decent amount of seniors, but I
Mhm.
mean, hey, there's always next year, like you say. So we'll have to wait and see what Houston brings next year to the table.
Yep.
But all right, we'll switch off to something that is actually happening now. We were watching it this morning. PGA. PGA. It is the oh goodness,
Master.
it's the Masters opening. We're in Augusta, right? This is your field, man. This is all you. Scotty
Yeah.
Scheffler won the last one. You know, what should we look out for? Who should we look out for other than Scotty Scheffler?
Yeah, well, I mean, Scott is he's the number one player in the world. So he's always going to be up there. He's won 2 of the last 3 Masters. But, Rory's still looking to complete the Grand Slam. He's won the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship. He's looking to complete the Grand Slam. He has not won the Masters yet. So you got to keep an eye out for him. I think, another guy who isn't really talked about as much anymore since joining Live, but Brooks Koepka. Brooks is phenomenal in majors. He also has never won the Masters. He's always in the fight. He's phenomenal in majors. So I think Brooks is another guy you got to look out for. And I think some of these young guys coming up, like Minwoo Lee, Akshay Bhatia, they've only played Augusta or the Masters a handful of times, but they're playing really well coming into this tournament. And more people, I could just rattle off some names like, Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. Some of those guys you got to look out for because they're top players in the world. So, and especially at Augusta, where a lot of those guys have played here a bunch, so they know where to miss. I mean, this place is tough, dude. Augusta is arguably it's probably the hardest, hardest course, one of the hardest courses in the world, especially for these guys too. So, but I mean, I think Scotty will probably win.
Yeah, and like you said, Augusta, one of the toughest courses in the world. And I was texting you earlier about that. I was like, man, the field is just like it looks flat, and then they show a side angle, and you just see it's all these hills and curves, and and then obviously, like you said, they had the green speed, like a speed of 14. Normally they're about 7 or 8. You said.
Yeah, at a like a local everyday course, they're a lot lower than on tour. Like the average on tour is, probably 10, 11, 12. But Augusta rolls fast. They tuck those pins. They put the pins in really difficult spots. You got to work for it at Augusta. You got to play 4 days of really good golf, and the big thing is you can't win the tournament on Thursday or Friday, but you can lose it 100%. If you dig yourself in a hole at Augusta, you're not gonna dig out of it because there's no hole where it's like, oh, okay, well, I can get my shot back on 12, 13, 14. There's none of that at Augusta. Every shot, every putt has to be where you want it to go, or you're really gonna struggle there.
Yeah, and that's where the mentality comes in, where it's just like, oh man, you miss one shot, you don't focus up after that, you might be over for you. And like you said, you dig yourself in that hole, really hard to dig yourself out of it. But
especially when you're playing against guys like Scotty and Rory and the guys that know how to win and have been there and won it. Now Rory hasn't won it there, but he's won majors. He's won the hardest tournaments. So when you dig yourself in a hole, you gotta go, and then you look up at the leaderboard and you see, oh, you're four over today, but Scotty's 2 under through 4. It's like, well, I mean, how am I gonna dig out of that hole?
Yeah, and 4 over is not. Me not knowing anything about golf, but I know 4 over with how difficult Augusta sounds. 4 over seems like hell.
Not too bad though at Augusta. I'd be 4 over through 2 there.
I never picked up a golf club in my life. I'd probably be about 10 over. So, hey, props to all of those who can actually go to Augusta and make it happen, because golf is absolutely one of the hardest sports in the world. Put it right up there with baseball. And golf and cricket too. One of the hardest things you can do is hit a ball with a stick. But so there's your PGA info for the day. Let's move into the world of basketball, international, but we're gonna focus on the domestic league, of course. Last night we had a revenge game. I don't know if you know anything about it. Luka Doncic scored 31 in the first half against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks. And I can tell you this, it seemed like the Dallas Mavericks weren't there for themselves. It seems like they were there for Luka. At least the fans were. Because every time he scored, it was absolutely pandemonium. He hit a 3, the entire stadium roared. And man, that just shows you the love that City had for him. Like, it shows you the betrayal that Nico Harris pretty much did him. That's your 26-year-old star player. It's almost inconceivable that you would trade him, And I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
Yeah, I think one. I just think Luca is a probably the when he's playing well and he's healthy, he's probably the third or fourth best player in the league. So I mean, you put him in any environment and he's going to thrive, especially in that environment where it almost kind of felt like a playoff environment. Place was packed, sold out, everyone was cheering, everyone was rooting, but at the same time, it's like, man, what did the Mavs do? Why did they do that? Because I mean, Luca is just, but he's not even. I don't think he's even in his prime yet, and he's still, one of the best players in the league. And when you think about it, and you look at especially how the Lakers have been playing since Luca joined the team, I mean, it might go down as the worst trade in the history of sports, to be honest.
Absolutely, but I mean, I was listening to the commentators yesterday, and they're like, "Well, trades like these happen." I mean, you had Wayne Gretzky traded. I'm pretty sure at some point, I believe Deion Sanders got traded. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, big names get traded. It's true, but I don't think that. I mean, Wayne Gretzky, sure, I put Wayne Gretzky and the Luca trade right up there next to each other, but that like Luca is your city's beloved child. He's the chosen one in your city. You don't trade Luka Doncic. You don't trade, especially to the Lakers. You don't trade
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic to where he can go and absolutely come back and demolish you. Like that's not something you do. If you're gonna trade him somewhere, trade him to the East.
Yeah, especially in the same conference, it just doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. It was so like it's so inconceivable. You know,
Yeah, it's very confusing still. I still like every time I see Luca in a Lakers jersey, I'm still like, that is just the weirdest looking thing ever.
it's weird for you. It's a dream come true for me. I'll tell you that
Oh
much.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, to Michael, it'd be like if it would be like if the Lions, for example, traded Amon-Ra St. Brown to for like Chris Olave.
Yeah.
You'd be like, now I'm not saying Chris Olave is bad, but I think that's actually a really good equivalent because AD's super injury prone.
mm,
He gets injured a ton, but when he
exactly.
plays, he's phenomenal. Chris Olave is kind of the same way. He's got big injury problems with his concussion and everything, his concussion problems. But when he's on the field, he's one of the best players out there.
Absolutely.
So when you trade someone of Luca's caliber, all the eyes are always going to go onto it. But I think it was the way they traded him and the manner in which they traded. I mean, that trade happened at like 1 a.m. for me.
Mm.
Just sitting there watching sports, and I just get a notification on my phone. And I look at it, and it's just the Dallas Mavericks are sending Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and I just went,
Yeah.
and my cat just blew up.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "This, Shams was hacked. This can't be real."
Mm-hmm.
Sure
And
enough, it was real, which is
no, yeah, I remember seeing that trade happen too, and I was like, oh, it's not April, but it's a prank because there's no way the Dallas Mavericks are dumb enough to trade Luka Doncic,
yeah,
and then you get ESPN reports it, CBS Sports reports it, Fox Sports reports it, NBA reports it, TNT Basketball reports it, and you're just like, oh my god, like this is an onslaught. Like this actually like there's no way this actually happened. Like I said, I was ecstatic. I was a little upset that you lose AD, but I mean, you got Luka Doncic. I mean, as my brother so lovingly put it one day, you have a walking 30 burger going with you anywhere you go. And I mean, I think he's averaging about 26, 27 right now. So it's just insane. It's an insane trade. Just why would you do
yes.
that?
I'm not the one to ask that. I wouldn't have done it.
No,
So
yeah, absolutely. Hell, I don't think a single GM other than Nico Harrison would have done it. But
yeah, and last night too, even the fans they were chanting for Luca and they were chanting "Fire Nico." So and he's sitting there and they're zoomed in on him and you can just tell he's so uncomfortable.
he's
And
got
I think looking into in the moment, he's just like, man, like at the time he was probably thinking, oh man, this will be beneficial for us. And at the end of the day, I think when everything's all said and done, I think people look back on this trade and just be like, man, what what was going through their head? Why did they do that?
and I'll be honest. I think the trade would have worked out for them somehow until Kyrie got injured.
Yeah.
That injury did hinder them a lot, and I think they were playing. I don't know if AD and Kyrie ever played together. I don't think they
Well,
did.
well, in their first game when AD was healthy, that first game since the trade, AD was looking great in that game. He was getting a bunch of boards. He scored, I think he had over 25 in the third. And then he got hurt, which really kind of was just like, oh man, like that's a killer if you're the Mavs. And then when he's out injured, Kyrie goes down. Now your season's kind of shot because you need both of them. You can't win with just the one because if you have Kyrie, no AD, like you kind of don't really have a big man. You're gonna be more of a perimeter shooting team, and then with AD and Kyrie, it gives you that dual threat. You have to look out for both of them. Where if it's just one of them, you can more solely focus on the one. So I don't know. I don't even know what to think about it. To be
Yeah,
honest,
no, that was just. I mean, like I said, it would have worked out great.
I feel bad for the Dallas fans.
Yeah.
That's what I feel most bad for in this situation.
I would say, yeah, no, that's just. It was just insane. I mean, the West was already in chaos at the beginning of the year. They're even more in chaos now with I believe 3 through 8 being separated
Yeah,
by
it's
two
10
games.
games. Yeah, it's whoever comes out of the West is probably gonna win it unless they play Boston. Boston could, Boston's
Repeat.
probably the best
Yeah,
team in the
Boston
East.
could repeat, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people say the East is easy, and it's kind of hard to deny that because I mean, well, you still have the Cavs. The Cavs are on a great run right now. I believe they're at like 62, 63 wins. They're above Boston. They're the number one seed, but Boston just has that. They just have that history behind them. Cleveland just has the LeBron James era for their history, and I mean, their team is great though, but I believe they're really young. They're young, kind of inexperienced in the playoffs, but I mean, once again, hey, things can sometimes just happen overnight. They could overtake Boston, they could take out the New York Knicks. I think the Cavs have the ability to take on anyone. The East isn't
Yeah,
easy, but it's not.
yeah. Well, what helps them too is their defense. They're so good on defense, and they can score a bunch of points if need be. You have Donovan Mitchell and you have Darius Garland that they can catch fire from the 3-point line.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
you have probably who's going to be the defensive player of the year in Evan Mobley, who you're in the paint with him and you're probably not going to score. So they can make a deep run. I think the 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 East Finals will be Cleveland and Boston probably, but the West, the West is literally up in the air. I think it'll be OKC for sure. That'll be in the Western Conference Finals, but who they're gonna play is a huge question. It could be a handful of 5 or 6 different teams.
Yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong. While they're not great, you could put up the Clippers up there. You could put the Lakers up there. Nikola Jokic. I mean, while they're not where they're supposed to be, that's still Nikola Jokic. That's still MVP. Honestly, to me, it's a tie between him and SGA. But I almost kind of want to give it to Nikola Jokic again because it's an MVP caliber season. Now, SGA might lead the league in points per game, but Nikola Jokic pretty much does it all. Scores, assists, rebounds, and it's so insane. And it's insane because the joke is like Nikola Jokic's side job is the NBA, and his main job is tending to his horses, which it's a little funny, but it's so true because he just kind of just goes out there and is just
Yeah, it just makes it look so easy.
yeah, and it's just like it's hard not to consider him the MVP, but you kind of want to give it to SGA because it's like okay, you've had Nikola Jokic win it for 2+ years now. There's no reason to give him another one. Give it to SGA. But no, yeah, the Thunder could face hell. They could face Houston. Houston's great defensively, as you were telling me. Them, OKC. There's more you were telling me. I don't remember what you said. Yeah,
Golden State. I think out of if you were to put OKC aside, I think there's probably 6 or 7 teams you could put that can win the West. I think um, Denver, Houston, Lakers, Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Warriors. That's probably it. I think Clippers. I think those are probably the only teams that really could win the West. But I mean, and think about what I just said. That's basically almost all of them.
That is, yeah. And I
So
believe I'm gonna check it up real fast. Give me 1 second. But you still have, hold on. The play-in tournament is the Golden State Warriors. As of right now, it's Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, the Kings, and the Mavericks. Now, quite honestly, I don't really think the Kings or the Mavericks are gonna make it in. I think it'll probably end the way it is right now with OKC up top, and then Houston, the Lakers, Denver,
I think
Clippers.
OKC and Houston are locked as 1 and 2.
I believe they are too. Let me double check. Yeah, I think there's only 3 more games left, 2 more games left.
Yeah, 3 or 2.
Yeah, they're locked in. They're locked
Yeah.
in. They're locked
And
in as the one
I
and
think
two.
on the East too. I think Cleveland's locked in as the 1, and Boston's locked in as the 2.
I might have to double check that. You're right. Yeah. No, they
Yeah.
did. They clinched the number 1 seed. You're right. Yeah, and I mean it's just from there, We might see OKC against the Timberwolves, and then Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, Rockets, Warriors from there on. Which, I mean, not bad. It'll be great basketball. Come playoff time, it's great basketball. The play-in is going to be great too, but, I mean, you're not going to see Dallas or Sacramento in it, my personal
Probably
opinion.
not, no. Well, you're a Lakers fan. What team would you not want to play in the first round? Because as a non-Lakers fan, I could tell you who I think they would really struggle against.
Well, I think, as of right now, I'll have to double check again. I think they're playing the Grizzlies right now, which, I mean, it's not a fun matchup, but I don't, for some reason, the Lakers and the Clippers, every time they meet, the Clippers just have the upper hand, and it's just getting really annoying as a Lakers fan. So, honestly, if I'd want to face anybody, but don't want to face them at the same time, it'd be the Clippers. You got Kawhi Leonard, you got the Beard, you got James Harden, they have Zubac. Oh my goodness, what's his name? There's another player on there that just gives them hell every time they play. And it's just like, man, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. I don't mind going against John Morant. I don't want to see the Nuggets because I'm so sick and tired of Nikola Jokic just for every little thing. I don't want to see the Nuggets. I don't want to see the Clippers. But that'd pretty much be it. It's between those two teams. Now, obviously, you're going to have to run through either Houston or OKC at that point. And they play Houston tomorrow, so that'll be a playoff-like atmosphere for sure. I believe they're at Houston. Not going to have the home field advantage there if they meet in the playoffs. Not going to be fun. But, I mean, you got to, like as always said, you got to go through the best to be the best, So, I mean, personally, I couldn't tell you. One team I don't want to face, probably the Nuggets, honestly.
I would say Golden State would be.
Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot about
really
that.
Tough for the Lakers.
Absolutely. Luckily enough, they hold the season advantage. I believe they're 3 wins to 1. So not that that'll help them in the postseason, but as of right now, I would say they're fine. But I mean, Steph Curry catching fire, the entire Warriors team is catching fire right now, and I mean, it'll be tough. It'll be tough for sure.
Playoff Jimmy, watch out.
Playoff. No, you're not wrong. Playoff Jimmy could pop up. You're right. You're so right. Because I mean, God, look at what he did to the Lakers. In the bubble, and I think what he's done for the Heat the last couple of years in the playoffs. He pops off.
Watch out.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct on that point. I don't even doubt that, honestly. Man, but no, yeah, so that NBA basketball playoffs coming up, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time for sure. We'll definitely be all over that one. We'll definitely keep up with that.
Oh yeah.
But we'll move on from that from now. We're gonna talk about small little segment right here, just baseball. You're a Detroit Tigers fans. They've been on the up and coming. They just believe they just finished the series with the Yankees, or as
Yep.
you so gracefully like to call them,
The Stankies.
there you go. Oh, you man, you take over for the Tigers
Not a
right
big
now,
league
man.
here. Well, the Tigers, they're on the come up. Last year they had a phenomenal end to the season. They snuck into the playoffs. They had it was like a 0.2% chance in early August, and they went 39 or 31-11 to end the season. Got in. The Twins absolutely collapsing on the back end of the season. Won a series against the Astros, and then they lost 3-1 in the divisional round against Cleveland. But this year, they started off, with arguably the best team in baseball and probably one of the best teams assembled in the Dodgers. So they got swept by the Dodgers, and then started 0-3, but now they are 7-6. They just they swept the White Sox at home. They won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees at home. They have a break today, and then this weekend they'll be in Minnesota, who's really struggling. But I think that the Tigers just have to be able to hit the ball. Their pitching staff is so good, and their bullpen is great as well. Their pitching staff led by Scooble, Flaherty, and then they just got to be able to hit the ball. If they can hit the ball and score runs, because we don't let up a whole bunch of runs with our pitching staff, but our problem has always been hitting. We leave too many runners in scoring position, and it's just that's what kills them at the end of the day. Because like in LA, the first game of the season, opening day, you're on national television. You got Scooble on the mound. You leave 12 runners in scoring position, scoring no runs. That just can't happen. It can't happen if you want to win games. But I think the benefit is I think the AL Central is going to be a little weaker this year, and that gives the Tigers a bigger window to open up or to win the Central. And my goal is because they have Meadows injured, they have Vierling injured, and Gleyber Torres got injured in the series against the Dodgers. So those are 3 key pieces to this team. And I think my thought process was if you can get to middle of May and you're 500, that's a really good sign, considering the injuries, the schedule that we have. And so far, I think they're definitely going to do it. And I think the Tigers are a 90-plus win team this year. I hope.
I mean, you're completely right. I totally forgot that they beat the Astros last year in the playoffs. And I remember watching that series. And I think you said they won 3-1?
They beat the Astros in the wild card 2-0, and then they lost to Cleveland in the divisional round 3-1.
I see. That's right. Okay, so he beat the Astros in the wild card. Okay, that's what it was, 2-0. I remember watching those games, and I was like, obviously, Dodger fan here, absolute hatred for the Astros and everything they did.
I'm not an Astros guy.
Yeah, and everything they did during that. But I mean, hey, the old saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But
well, our manager AJ Hinch, he was on that Astros team.
Oh.
He was on the coaching staff.
Oh, so we might see some Detroit Lions controversy coming up soon. Not Detroit Lions, my bad. Detroit Tigers controversy coming through soon.
No controversy.
Just good baseball. Just good, solid baseball.
Just good pitching and good hitting without buzzers or beating on trash cans.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no. I hope the Astros never win another World Series in their lifetime. But, no, yeah. I mean, as you said, Tigers played the Dodgers in the first series, and the Dodgers started off super hot. They won the first 2 against the Cubs. They swept the Tigers. They beat the Phillies, I believe, in the series right after, and then they've been in a slump a bit, honestly. They finally pulled one out yesterday. I believe they lost 4-5 straight. They finally pulled one out yesterday, so now they're, I want to say 7-5. So not great.
I think the Dodgers are like 9-4 or something.
Is it? I might be insane. I'll
There's
double
something there.
check.
I mean, they're good. The Dodgers are good. That division they're in is very good with the Padres, the Giants. I'm shocked how well the Giants are playing this year.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been a shocker.
Yeah, they really have. I do think though I think the biggest shock is I still, to me personally, I think it's the Twins still. You know, they had control of the AL Central last year for a little bit of the year. Cleveland mainly had the big advantage throughout the year, but you know Minnesota was locked into that too in the Central for basically 95% of the season, and then they completely collapsed at the end of the season, and it seems like they brought it into this season. You know, they're really struggling,
Oh,
which
really?
is shocking because the Twins are, on paper, they're very good, but their biggest thing is their health. You know, Correa,
Mm,
Byron Buxton, they kind of struggle staying healthy. So I think if the Twins can stay healthy, they will be better than what they've been showing. But I think that's been the biggest shock
interesting.
this year in
I
baseball.
didn't even
So
know that.
in our very small sample size that we've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah. I mean, it is still we're within 20 games. This season goes in all the way to October. We're barely in April. We can't
Yep.
can't judge it off of this. But I mean, no, you're right. I did forget that the Twins did have a lot of injuries. You're absolutely correct. But I mean, you never know. Like they could absolutely get some of those people back and just start hammering away, start pitching well, start hitting well, and just I mean
Yeah,
that's sometimes all it takes is just one player to come back.
right. But also kind of like how I said though with the Masters, if you dig yourself in a hole, it's hard to get out of.
Mm.
It, especially in baseball, if you get to, you know, if you get to halfway in the season and you have double the losses as you do as wins, I mean you're in a big predicament there
Mm.
because not only is everyone got a bunch of film on you already, but now everyone's really into their groove. People are trying to make these playoff pushes. If you're, sitting well below 500 and you're like, oh, well, we gotta make a push. It's gonna be tough because now everyone's gonna have the film on you.
Mm.
They're gonna know your tendencies if you're a pitcher. They're gonna know your tendencies if you're a hitter. They're gonna know where you like the ball pitched. They're gonna know where you don't like it pitched. They're gonna know what pitches get you. And the problem is you dig yourself in a hole early in the season, you're gonna stay in that hole because it's very difficult to dig out of. And like last year for the Tigers is a perfect example. They played phenomenal at the back end of the season, but guess what? They're still 10 games out of the playoffs if the Twins just play 500 baseball. And they didn't, and they got lucky. But that's a rare case of a team, really struggling and then getting lucky and playing really good baseball towards the end of the season, making it. So I think if you dig yourself in a hole in baseball, especially really early in the season, it's tough. It's tough to get out of because your guys they're not gonna have as much confidence building into the back half of the season if they're like, oh, it's the All-Star break. We're not even at 30 wins. So it's like, oh,
Yeah, no,
the season.
yeah, definitely like the All Star break, which is in July if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's end of July. Yeah, it's definitely a changing point for a lot of teams because a lot of teams, a good number of teams send players out there and they just kind of go have fun, do whatever. You get a break, kind of gives you a chance to get those injured players back a little bit, but at the same time, it's detrimental that you're in a positive place at that point. You at least want to be maybe 10, 15 wins over your losses, just to even have a shot at the playoffs. And like you said, the film at that point, it's been all season. It's pretty much half the season. The back half of the season is trying to correct all the errors that you've had in the first one. It's trying to maintain game plans, trying to adapt to game plans. Because once October comes, it's it's tough. That entire season is there for people to just kind of be like, this is their errors, this is what they're not good at. I gotta pitch it here, and this and that, and it's just like, at some point, man, if you're not catching up with your wins, It's just tough.
Your season's gonna be over. You're gonna be watching. If you're like if you're a White Sox fan, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just brutal. Or if you're a White Sox player, even it's like, dude, well, you know, we have like last year they were the ever in the history of baseball, worst team ever. And imagine you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, like we could have done this, and this better. But guess what? You're not. You're on vacation. You're sitting at home watching other teams who you played, who you possibly beat in a series. They're playing and they're about to go to the World Series. So it's like, you can't dig yourself in a hole early.
Mm.
I think if you just got to stay consistent early in the season. You got to knock off the rust. You got to get back into the swing of things. Plus, here in Michigan, it's a little colder, so for once it starts to get a little warmer, the ball's going to start flying.
Mm.
So you really gotta hit the ball well. No, limit your errors and pitch well early in the season, and you'll do. Once it gets warm out, you'll be fine, and you just gotta knock off the rust a little bit. But also, that's what spring training's for.
Yeah, I mean that's what it should be for. And then obviously, some players just kind of go through the motions there, and they think, "Oh, I'll just pick it up when the real time starts coming." But like, preparation is key, man. You can't just flip a switch and all of a sudden you're the best player in the world. That's just not how it works. But I don't know. Baseball, like I said, is one of the hardest sports in the world. The hardest thing to do in the world is hit a 100-mile-per-hour fastball with a stick. That's what I like. I think it's what 2.7 inches at its thickest. Is something around that. Speaking of bats, torpedo bats. What like? But I mean, are they really that much of an advantage? Honestly,
I don't think so.
yeah.
I think it's possible that there is a slight advantage to them just because there's more mass
Mm.
right at the barrel. But I think a lot of it's mental. I think a lot of it is when hitting a baseball is hard, and you go through these slumps where you're like, oh man, I just can't hit anything. Like this is just the worst. That bat can give you a little bit of confidence, where it's
Mm.
like, oh, the barrel's thicker, so that means I'm gonna make more contact.
Mm.
I really don't think torpedo bats do much. I will say, however, that first series with the Yankees when they were just blasting the ball with the torpedo bats when they played the Brewers on opening week, and that was their first series. Well, I think a lot of that too is just the Yankee Stadium is just not big,
Mm.
so a lot of those home runs are not skewed, but a lot of those balls, those close balls that barely squeak over the fence at Yankee Stadium, those balls aren't leaving the park at probably a lot of other
Yeah.
ballparks. So.
Yeah. I did see that. I believe the average wall is 340.
Mm-hmm.
340
Yeah.
feet, out, and I think theirs is 320.
Yeah, theirs is like a high school field almost.
Yeah, yeah, it's
To the
just
corners it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just shorter. I remember
Where you got parks like Comerica in Detroit, and dead center is 425.
yeah,
The corners are like 340 to 360.
yeah,
So
no,
it's really not a ton of home runs in Comerica.
yeah. That's why they're more happy for home runs out there. Yeah, it's a little harder. So when you start hitting those, you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely in a groove now. But no, yeah, I mean, we'll switch back to the torpedo bats real fast. I mean, I think like with the shape of it, you run the risk of I mean, more contact with the ball, but sometimes you just slightly miss that ball, and that's the difference between a ground out. It's just like it's more mass, but like you can hit it straight dead center, and it can either fly or you can just straight fly. To either second baseman, the pitcher, shortstop, whoever. But I mean, we'll see as the season goes on. Obviously, if it seems that the Yankees are just powering runs with obviously they have a very heavy hitting roster out there. You got Aaron Judge, and I think he hit 5 of those home runs on that night when they put 20 past the Brewers.
4 in one game.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's just also Aaron Judge. He's one of one, man.
Yeah,
He's
you can't compare guys to
yeah,
Aaron Judge.
he's Aaron Judge, man. So I mean, we'll see. Obviously, season goes on. Probably this time around, May. Not May, my bad. Maybe June, July, once the All Star break starts coming up, if we start seeing those numbers being a lot higher than they normally are for teams, then obviously we can probably attribute that to the torpedo bats. But I think they'll still be relatively, similar, maybe slightly higher, just slightly inflated, but that could also just be because of that first couple of games.
Yeah, I also think too a lot of the bat too is a lot of feel. These guys they prefer things a certain way. So some of them start swinging and they're like, I hate how this feels. Like it's too barrel heavy. It's not enough. It's not heavy enough on the handle. They're just not going to touch it. So I think a lot of the torpedo bat talk is first off, it's a lot of excitement because not that torpedo bats haven't been around, but they haven't been as popular as they are now. um, but I think a lot of it is feel for some of these players. Like so, for example, the some of the Tigers players were asked if they would try the torpedo bats, and every single one of them said just depends on how it feels. If it feels the same as the normal bats they use, sure they'll give it a try. But if it's slightly off, they're just not going to touch it because these guys have been playing with the same weight and size bats for so long. Why would they switch it up when they're at the top?
Yeah, it's more comfortability too. Like it probably just feels a little denser right there where you're holding it too. The weight's kind of all wobbly and stuff. So I mean, we'll see. Give him to Shohei Ohtani. We'll watch him just fly dingers out of there.
Yeah,
But
you can't give him one of those. He'll start hitting it too far. Yeah,
no, but that's our.
he doesn't need a torpedo bat.
He does it. He does it. Shohei Ohtani is just absolutely like I couldn't even like. It's just
You
watching
can't
him.
compare him to anyone.
Yeah, just watching him play baseball is insane. Like you can't really compare Judge to Otani because Otani's a pitcher. Otani's a pitcher that rakes, and that is insane.
I think he's a hitter that pitches personally.
Yeah, I mean that he's probably
Yeah,
better as a hitter. Honestly, I haven't seen him pitch since
he hasn't
three.
pitched since the Angels.
Yeah, 3 years ago now.
Yeah, two or three,
Two and a half, yeah. And Judge is a center fielder with a cannon of an arm, a cannon in his bat. So I mean, two like you can't you. Everyone tried to pit them against each other in the World Series last year, and it just you couldn't really do it. I mean, hitting wise, sure, I guess, but you kind of expect. Now Judge was a letdown in the World Series last year.
I think Judge has always struggled in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was. I mean, maybe he'll pick it up
But
this
I
year.
will say Otani didn't have the best World Series either.
No, absolutely not. You're right. I think he only hit.
Freddie Freeman had
Yeah, Freddie Freeman was a
probably
savior.
best World Series
Performance.
series of bats I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
After that grand slam, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. After that grand slam, I said it's over. We're winning. We're winning. I thought we'll win in 6, but we won in 5 because that last game should have taken to 6.
That game 5 in that 5th inning.
Oh my
that was
god, dude!
One of the biggest
Chokes. One of the biggest chokes.
I've never seen anything like that.
That
At
was
that professional level like that.
that was insane. Like you said, I've never seen a choke like that either. And it started off with that just
That's just baseball.
no one covered first. And you just cover
Yeah.
first. It's the easiest thing to do, and just there you are. Doesn't matter. We'll wear the crown for now. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the year. Hopefully repeat, but yeah, you never know. Maybe we'll see the Tigers up in the World Series this year. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hey, if that ever happens, we're going on a trip. I'll go with you, and you come back with me.
I'll go.
So that's good. All right, but we'll transfer into something that's happening later this month, the draft, the NFL draft, and I mean, how crazy? It's 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from today, I think is the first day.
2 weeks from today.
You're right, and it's just like I mean, the main storyline is who goes first overall. Personally, super easy. Cam Ward. That's just it's non-negotiable at this point. I think Cam Ward has so much more to offer. He's a bit more athletic. His performance in the college football season was just great. I think Shador had a great season as well, but I think his numbers were also inflated because of Travis Hunter. You know. So,
Yeah, I just think too. Just looking at I think Cam throws a better deep ball, which in the NFL, the deep ball matters, but it doesn't really matter as much as it does in college. But
mm,
I just think overall, Cam is just a bigger quarterback than Shador, and I just think he's more well rounded than Shador. I think Shador is still really good, but I just think if I had to choose one of the quarterbacks, I'd pick Cam Ward.
yeah, absolutely. And then I will say this: I'll give this to Shadur Sanders. His O line for the 3-4 years that he was there, not the best, not great at all. I know not this last season, but the season before that, I think he was the most sacked quarterback in all of college. That's including that's including FCS and FBS. It's crazy. No, it was a bad O line. This year they picked it up a bit, but not the greatest either. Still gave up a good amount of sacks, but I mean,
But he's also one of the reasons they won as many games as they did because
oh,
of
absolutely.
his mo he's so mobile. He
Mm-hmm.
can get out of that pocket because a lot of the times he would get into the back of his three steppers, 5-step drop, and he's got to move already because someone missed a block
Mm-hmm.
and he's
Yeah.
able to make those throws on the run. So it'll be interesting to see what team takes him, um, and because I don't know how well Shador runs his the college playbook is much different than not much, but it's a little different than the NFL. I think the NFL is traditionally has been more of a pocket passer league, whereas I think now really it's really shifting into you need a mobile quarterback to have success in the NFL because
Mm-hmm.
look at the teams that have won the Super Bowls in the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, other Mahomes obviously,
Yeah.
but a lot of those guys are mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, look
well,
at
I
the
mean, I don't know if you consider Tom
well,
Brady mobile.
well, I said most of them. I think there's really only like two or three pure pocket passers left in football. I think Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kirk Cousins, wherever he goes, I think he's a pocket passer. And I think Stafford is a little more mobile than both of those guys, but he's
Just
more of a
slightly.
yeah he's more of a pocket passer. I think if you think about everyone else, like all those guys can run. Look at the championships this year. You had Jalen Hurts versus Jane Daniels,
Mm-hmm.
both mobile, and then you had Mahomes and Allen, both mobile. I think the league is going more mobile, which I think will benefit Shador more
Mm-hmm.
because he's going to be more comfortable on the run
Mm-hmm.
instead of. But also, we really kind of don't know how he is fully as a pocket passer because he's never had a good O line to let him stay in the pocket.
I see. I've been thinking about that because you started saying like he's mobile, but I was like, okay, put him behind. Uh,
Put him
put
behind Lions O line.
put him behind or the Eagles O line. Like, granted, it's not gonna happen, obviously, but put him behind like
Right.
one of those O lines. Like, what could he do?
Yeah.
Or give him a
I
half
think
decent O line with the God. I don't know. I don't think any top 10 teams have a decent O line, honestly.
mm,
No, not that I'm sure of. That's kind of why they're all there. But and I mean, no, yeah, I
the
mean,
Bears is decent, but they don't need a quarterback.
no, Bears is. I wouldn't say the Bears is a decent O line considering the way they let team defenses treat Caleb Williams.
Well, they true, but they did make a few moves
You're
this
right. You're right.
offseason.
Yes, they did.
They
They
got
did.
some linemen, so
You're true. You're right. Yeah,
we'll
actually, you're absolutely correct. We'll see how that one plays out, though. Moves don't always guarantee an automatic fix, but
mm,
we'll see that. But no, yeah, I mean, Shadur could be an amazing pocket passer. We just have to wait and see him be able to be one. You
we
know?
gotta. He's teams have got to give him time to sit in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to seeing him make these phenomenal plays on the run, throwing to Travis, but it's because he hasn't had a good enough O line to where he can just sit down, take a 3-step, and stand there and read what's going on in the secondary. Whereas I think in the NFL he'll be able to do more of that, but
Yeah.
but teams will still utilize him being able to move.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that'll be, we'll see where he goes, but hopefully that we'll be able to see at least glimpses of that, you know? But I mean, speaking of, we might as well talk about draft picks. So
Yeah,
I compiled a top 10 draft. I don't know if you have.
I did.
I did. So what we'll do here is we'll go just number by number. Number
Okay.
one overall. I feel like
Yeah.
agreed. Cam Ward.
Yep.
Cam Ward. But here's number two is where I definitely think that a lot of people, whoever's watching this, if you're watching this, just know I believe this because I believe the Cleveland Browns have no faith left anymore in Deshaun Watson. They brought Kenny Pickett. That's not a quarterback that you want. I think Cleveland takes Shador.
Mm.
And if it were me, I would take Shador and go upgrade that O line in the later rounds because it's a deep O line class. But go take Shador. Go take a chance. Now, granted, you also kind of want a wide receiver for him because you only really have Jerry Jeudy. But I mean, hey, you got to start somewhere. Look at Washington. They just took Jaden Daniels and they blossomed. Look, 2 years ago, C.J. Stroud. Texans took him, no real weapons, blossomed, right?
And 2 years ago, Cleveland was in the playoffs.
And that too is 2 years ago they were in the playoffs. So I think, me personally, you take Shador Sanders. You go and take that chance. You develop him, because you'll have Deshaun Watson ahead of him. Deshaun Watson was an offensive rookie of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't.
I can't remember. I'll have to look that up. But I think he was the offensive rookie of the year. But he was a great quarterback before everything. We'll just leave that. We'll leave that. You all know. You all know. But I think I think he'll help Cleveland win games. Granted, this may not be the year he wins it all, but I think Shador can help Cleveland transcend at least into playoff contenders, meaning they'll have like the last 3 weeks, they're fighting for a playoff spot. That's what I think Shador can do for Cleveland. I don't know about your number two pick, but that was mine.
Yeah, I have actually the best overall athlete and player in the draft, Abdul Carter for for uh for the Browns.
That
I think
would be
they just re-signed Miles Garrett. Um, I actually think Cleveland is gonna make a quarterback move, but not in the draft.
really.
I think they will trade for someone in Atlanta.
You know what? That's so funny. I was just thinking, I was like, I don't know
They
if
will
Cleveland will
trade.
trade for Kirk Cousins.
I think they will. I think they'll take Abdul Carter at two.
That would be an extremely terrifying defense to play. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
if we're just saying Abdul Carter is going to be the beast that he was in college, we don't know how
Right.
he's going to play out. But if he's even at least 75% of the beast that he was in college, you have a real problem with
And
offenses.
I think a big thing too is you put him opposite of Miles Garrett. You can only double team one of them, so that
Yeah,
means one of them is going to be one on one.
exactly. You'll have both your hell. You put five down there, it's 1-on-1 all across the
And
board.
and I think especially in that AFC North, you need to have a good front seven
Oh,
defenders.
absolutely, because
So
that's
I think he would be a huge help to them.
yeah. The AFC North is a division of just what's it called battling rams. It's punch after punch after punch, and I mean hell, it would be smart. You have Derrick Henry up there. Why not have two people who can literally manhandle even the great Derrick Henry? You have who else is up there? You have it's the Ravens. You have the Steelers, who haven't been the best these last couple of years. They've just been really mediocre, never really doing anything
They're the
after.
same every year.
Yeah,
9-8.
over 500 just to lose in the first round of the playoffs. You have
Yeah.
well, you're not playing Cleveland. You're also playing Cincinnati, and don't get me wrong, Cincinnati's gonna throw the ball everywhere. Joe Burrow's not gonna throw the ball on his back. Sorry, you don't really have a good O line. You put all your money on your receivers. You're gonna trade Trey Hendrickson because you put all your money on T Higgins as well. It's over. Like if they don't win this year, yeah, I'm sorry, Cincinnati, you're done. You're done because you're pretty much you have to trade T Higgins after 2 years. I think that's what the contract speculation was like. He really only has 2 years of guaranteed money, and it's pretty much bye bye after that. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't win in these next 2 years, it's over for Cincinnati. And
Yeah, their window's closed.
yeah, pretty much. And I mean, you could say that, and they can go and draft a great wide receiver this year, or they can go draft next year, and maybe they can still keep that. But you haven't invested in your O line. You haven't invested in your defense, which has been abysmal since 2, 3 years ago when they were great. And it's just like, no. So I completely forgot we were talking about Cleveland taking Abdul Carter for a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, there's no investment in your O line. You take Abdul Carter, put him alongside Myles Garrett, put him alongside a defense that was top
Yeah.
10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last
They're
year.
one of the best top 10 defense in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly. They were dominant. Not dominant like they took over games, but they were dominant like, hey, you needed to stop, they could most likely get you a stop. So
Yeah.
take Abdul Carter, put him there. I think that would be an amazing defense for sure. But funny enough, pick number 3 for me is Abdul Carter to the New York Giants because that would also be a great building piece because you already have Dexter Lawrence for the New York Giants. Their defense, not amazing, but solid. Really solid. I think they were middle of the pack last year. You put Abdul Carter there, probably gets you closer to the top 10 defenses. I mean, you just signed Russell Wilson. You don't really need a quarterback. Your running back room is decent. It's not great, but it's decent enough to where you're not really trying to fit a new person in there. You got 2 running backs that are pretty good in Tracy Jr. and I forget what the second name was. But, running back wise, you're good. Wide receiver wise, I mean, you should probably upgrade at wide receiver too, but you win games with defense. You just need to stop here and there and just hope your offense can go get you some points. So that's my pick for the Giants. How about you?
I have the Giants taking Travis Hunter, but more for defensive side as a DB.
As a
I
DB.
think I think he is a much better DB than receiver, but I still think you put him in packages on offense. So
Absolutely.
he's not playing every snap of offense, but he is playing every snap of defense, but he plays maybe 20% of snaps on the offensive side. But if I was the Giants and it goes how I would list with Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, I would take Travis Hunter at 3.
At 3, yeah. I mean, Travis Hunter for sure better cornerback than he is a wide receiver. I'll say that. He's an athlete, and it's hard to pass up on an athlete for sure. Which is why I have him going at 4 to New England. But I have him going for a wide receiver because Drake May has shown you he needs a weapon. Jalen Polk isn't gonna do it. You just got Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs is on the back end of his career. You need a wide receiver. And like I said, you need an athlete. Travis Hunter is that athlete. You go and give him to New England. You go and give him to Drake May. Plays will be made all over the field. That's me. Granted, this also just happens because Shador is going to be taking number 2 this is my mock draft. Right. Shador is going number 2 in my opinion, but clearly, we'll never know. We'll never know until day comes. But number 4, Travis Hunter goes to New England. Great, great weapon for Drake May. If they want to put him on the defensive side as well, go ahead. You already have Christian Gonzalez over there. You have, oh my goodness, they have another cornerback that is actually really good. What is his name? I don't remember his name, but they have 2 really good.
They just signed Carlton Davis.
And they just signed Carlton. You're right. I forgot. Oh my God, the old Bucks cornerback. Yeah. So I mean, it's a great defense over there. You got a brand new head coach in Mike Vrabel, who is gonna bring back that old Patriots, RPO type offense. He's gonna bring back that dominant run. He'll probably make Drake May as similar to Tom Brady as he can, but he'll give him the free reign to be like, you want to go make a play with your legs, you go make a play with your legs, because I want to see that happen. So I think it'll be exciting. Me personally, you take Travis Hunter, even if hopefully he hasn't been taken yet. Hopefully the Giants don't take him. But if you have the opportunity to take Travis Hunter, you go take Travis Hunter. I think that would be a great pick for you.
I have them taking one of 2 guys. I have them taking Will Campbell, the offensive from LSU, or I always butcher his name, but Armand Membo,
Oh my God,
the
Mizzou,
tackle
right?
from Missouri. Yep.
Missouri, yeah,
I
he's
think
from.
they need structure and they need a core at the O line to protect their young quarterback.
Mhm.
I think the addition of Stephon Diggs helps for receivers. And towards the later end of the year, Drake May was playing pretty well. So I think if you give him more protection and just give him that half a second in the pocket, he'll bring the Patriots to another level, back to what they were with Brady. So that's who I have the Patriots taking. One of those tackles.
Absolutely, and funny enough, if Hunter was gone at that point, you go and take Will Campbell, or you go and take. I'm not gonna even try to say his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The tackle from Mizzou. You go and take either one.
Membo.
Yeah, you take either one because what better way to run an East Coast offense than through the tackles in between the guards? Yeah, you need that solid. You need that rock up front. And that's the kind of offense that they're looking for. But we'll go over to Jacksonville. Jacksonville next to me, they have the offensive weapons. They have the quarterback. You need a defensive man. You go take Mason Graham. You take that man from Michigan. You go and dominate that defensive line. Because, defense, like I said before, defense wins games. I don't know much about Jacksonville. I'm going to be honest with you here. But Mason Graham, a freak athlete. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. You need that. You need that on your defense as a D tackle.
Yeah, he's national champion at Michigan. He is a big human being. I've seen him play before in person at the big house. He is massive. He's so wide. He's not the tallest guy, but he's huge though. He's so wide. He's so strong. He's so physical, and he's so quick for his size. So I think Jacksonville bringing in that a defensive player that can really stop everything would be helpful to them because their offense is fine as it is. If Lawrence can stay healthy and he stops turning the ball over, but I think if you're Jacksonville, you definitely take Graham.
Absolutely. And that's a big if for Trevor Lawrence. I just wanted you to know that. But that's your pick for Jacksonville as well, then, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You don't pass up on Mason Graham. Never will. Never should. But I do have the next one for Las Vegas. This is really easy. They have to go offensive because they have no weapons on the offensive side. They have zero. Absolutely none. I couldn't even tell you a single receiver they have. Honestly, I don't even know. I know they have Geno now. I know their running back is I don't even know their running back, and that's a divisional rival. I don't know anything about their offense. So with that being said,
Kobe Myers.
they have. Oh, you're right. They have. Is he still there? I think he left.
I don't know.
Oh God, I don't even know. I think he might have left. But that being said, no offensive weapons. You go get the best offensive weapon after Travis Hunter, Alshon Jenti. You go get Jenti. That's my pick for the Raiders. And that, if they can get that offensive line right, which I think they will, considering Pete Carroll's coming down from retirement, he's going to come and coach them. They'll get that offensive line right. They'll go Alshon Jenti, and that's just hand the ball off and watch him fly.
Yeah, I've been taking Ashton Jenti as well.
Yeah.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
They need someone.
Not much of a argument there, but so we'll move over into New York Jets. I have them taking a lineman because they just got Justin Fields, right? So I won't say that they completely assume that he's the quarterback of the future considering his past, but I have him taking Will Campbell because that's or if for me it's Will Campbell. Obviously, we don't know how the draft will play out. Me, it's Will Campbell. You take a tackle, you protect Justin Fields, you give him the time, and if he needs to scramble or anything, which he likes to do, he'll do it, and he'll be protected for it. It'll get you at least 2-3 yards. That's all you need sometimes is 2-3 yards. So that's my pick for the New York Jets. How about you?
Yeah, I have them taking one of the tackles I named for the Giants or for the Patriots, as well as possibly Teratoa McMillan, maybe. you know, they Adams is gone. They really just have Garrett Wilson. I really don't think they need to make any adjustments on defense. You know, Aaron Glenn's coming in. And I think they need to make adjustments on the offensive side, whether it's out wide or in the trenches. But I have them taking either him or one of the two tackles.
Yeah. And I thought about that too, but I was like, with Justin Fields, he's more of like the if you're not open right then and there, he's kind of gonna tuck and run. So, with that being said, I definitely do think the Jets will go tackle. Carolina, do you want to go first on this one?
Sure, I have Jalen Walker from Georgia.
Yeah, self-explanatory on that one, I believe.
Yeah, it's just the best linebacker
Mm.
in the draft. So and Carolina needs help on the defensive side of the ball. So I think for their pick they should take him.
Solid
'Cause
cornerstone
would
for
be
that
the best
defense.
available player on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt, but a solid
Right.
cornerstone for that defense. You can build around him for sure. But no, yeah, comes out of Georgia, beast, monster, whatever you want to say about him. Hey man, Georgia produces some great players for defense. That's all I can say. Alabama is the offensive side. Georgia's the defensive side. That's granted, their program not the best. They are run with scandals and idiots, but when they make it to the league, God forbid they make it to the league because they will own you. But we'll go New Orleans now. I wrote down his name. I don't even remember what position he is. Honestly. You want to go first? By all means, please go ahead. I have to remember.
Sure. This is where I really struggled
Yeah.
for the Saints. I have them taking Shador.
Really? A lot of people have him taking Shador. Funny enough.
Yeah, I think if they don't take him, well, I think the thing is the Saints have a huge money problem. They're all old, and the cap for them is terrible. So I think if they draft Shador, Derek Carr can kind of show him the way a little bit into the NFL. But at the same time, I'm not sure if Shador wants to go somewhere and be the backup, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the only problem with the Saints taking him. But to be honest, if they don't take Shador, I couldn't tell you what the Saints would draft. Maybe a receiver. But I mean, the Saints for me is the biggest question because I just don't know. There's a lot of things they need, but there's also, I think if there's an opportunity to take Shador, you should take him.
Yeah, and I just checked it up. I have him taking Tyler Booker, who is a guard, because I remember reading their needs, and they need a guard. Because I'm unsure if they lost or he retired. I'm not too sure. But I do remember that one of their top needs was a guard. So I have them taking Tyler Booker from Alabama, who, like I said, Alabama produces those great like offensive players, linemen, receivers, running backs, all of that. So I have them taking Tyler Booker, which, I mean, you have Derek Carr. You said you're going to stick with him. So you might as well protect him. You might as well get him an offensive line because last year he was hurt because, I mean, that offensive line didn't really do their job after the first two games because, Jesus Christ, those first two games you thought they were going to go in the Super Bowl. Man, I remember that. But
Yeah.
after that, after New Orleans, we have Chicago. I don't know what your pick was.
I have them taking Tyler Warren,
Tyler Warren, tight end.
tight end from Penn State. I think that was their kind of. I really think the Bears will be decent this year. Last year everyone overhyped them. I think because of Caleb Williams. I was for me being a Lions fan and we play the Bears twice a year. I was kind of concerned for Caleb because he was coming in not from what he was going to do on field, just for him as a player because he was one of the most hyped draft picks since probably since maybe Johnny Manziel or someone of that caliber. Um, it, he had I feel like he had so much pressure on him. And if you look at the Bears did the same thing they did with Justin Fields. They they had they got rid of the quarterback, got rid of Trubisky, kept the same coaching staff, drafted Fields, had a terrible year, stripped the coaching staff, got a new coaching staff, did a van, and then stripped the quarterback, drafted Caleb,
Yeah.
kept the same coaching staff, bad. Now they're stripping
Ripping the
it
coaching.
again.
Yeah.
Now Ben Johnson's there.
Which
Um,
is an upgrade, if you will.
he is 100% upgrade. You know, I have some opinions on Ben Johnson, but that doesn't matter. He's an offensive minded guy. Their defense is very good already. See, their receiving core is great. I could see them if Genti slides, maybe taking Genti, because DeAndre Swift is a little, he's getting
Yeah.
old, or not that he's old, but he's
Yeah.
getting on the older side.
The back end.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just think Tyler Warren would be a good fit because he's like a Swiss Army knife. You can put him anywhere on the field and he'll do well. So I think they'll definitely go offensive side of the ball, but I think they'll take Tyler Warren from Penn State.
Well, I had them.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. That Tyler Warren would be a great pick for them. But I mean, they do have Cole Kmet, so running that double tight end, you kind of need one to block at least. And
Right,
Tyler
but
Warren is a blocker. He is a
and
blocker.
if you look what Campbell did in Detroit, we ran a decent amount of double tight end, a lot of running between the tackles, and Tyler Warren is a great run blocker.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that would be a great fit for Chicago, actually. That pick is honestly, I would take that over what I picked for them. I had them taking, oh, God, I'm going to butcher his name. What's his name? Hold on, give me a second. Armand Membo. That's who I had them taking.
Oh, the Missouri tackle.
Yeah, I had them taking the Missouri tackle. Yeah. Granted, again, like I said, my draft is all skewed because I had Shador going second, and like everyone kind of slid where you didn't want them to. But that was my opinion. Because like you said, they love to run between the tackles. They have Cole Kmet. They have DJ Moore. They have DeAndre Swift. You're right, but Tyler Warren, honestly, I could see Chicago taking Tyler Warren more than I see them taking a tackle. While I understand, like, they do definitely need a tackle, I do see Tyler Warren as more of
the one of their pickups this offseason was I think they got the Chiefs tackle, or he was a guard. He was one of the two.
I think it was a guard. I'll have to double check. We'll double check that for the next time. Yeah. Hey, we got time. But no, yeah, we'll definitely double check that. But yeah, those are my top 10 picks. I got your top 10 picks. I think they're pretty solid. But now time for the picks that we really want to talk about. Your Detroit Lions, my Los Angeles Chargers. Who do you have the Detroit Lions taking?
Oh, man. If he slides, I think they should probably take James Pierce Jr. The Tennessee, and they definitely need someone on the defensive. They're gonna take someone that puts their hand in the ground. I'll tell you that.
I see.
Whether it's an offensive lineman or defensive end or D tackle, they'll take one of the front players. But I think if James Pierce Jr. slides, I think they'll take him. But if not, I have his name written down here actually somewhere. Let me find it. Oh, here it is. Yep. Donovan Ezurika, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a defensive end from Boston College. But I think he's going to be drafted higher too. So, I mean, I think the Lions will draft. They should draft someone on the defensive line. Would be my preference.
Yeah, because I think with sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Holmes drafts though. I mean, you never know. So.
I get it. You said Derek Harmon, right? No, not Derek Harmon.
Donovan, Eze Iruaku.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. We'll see, man. I mean, the Lions lost a lot of coaching staff, re-signed a good chunk of solid players, but I mean, no one knows them better than you. And honestly, like you said, they need someone that puts their hand in the dirt, either offensively or defensively. So,
They have a brutal schedule this year too.
yeah, because
Road
they finished
schedule.
number one overall, so it's number one overalls all around.
The road schedule is it's tough.
Oh man, yeah, trust me, I
I don't even
would
want to
not
talk
want to
about
be the Lions after that, man.
it. No.
But time for the Chargers. I can honestly say I have no idea what they're gonna do. Absolutely zero clue.
I'll tell you what they're gonna do.
If you tell me they go online, I wouldn't even doubt it.
No. They're gonna take Colston Love one.
See, but I don't think he falls. I don't think
Really?
he falls to 22.
Who takes him?
From what I've seen Indy needs tight ends. I've seen who else needs tight ends? Obviously Chicago, but Chicago will probably take Tyler Warren. I know Indy needs tight ends. I think Cincy needs a tight end. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I mean, there's two teams that need tight ends. You kind of like, all right, that's him. You know, he'll probably be the second one gone. Now, granted, if I were to have my choice, I would love, and I mean love, for them to go wide receiver. I think Territoria is going to be gone already, so go get Emeka Egbuka. Or, if you're going to go get a tight end, go get Mason, what's his name? Mason, the LSU tight end. Oh my goodness, I was just looking for his name too.
I don't know what his name is.
Mason Taylor. Go get Mason Taylor. But, I mean, personally,
Emeka Egbuka would be a great.
I would love Emeka Egbuka on the Chargers. I think he would be a great pairing with Lad McConkey, Mike Williams on the outside. Quentin Johnston, you just kind of have to demote him at some point, unless he proves that he's going to be that guy for you, which highly is... It's unreasonable to ask him to be that guy for you, but... I mean, you kind of want Emeka Egbuka because he's a star. He can catch the ball. He can run after catch, you know, stuff like that. It's just another weapon for Justin Herbert. But if it's not Mason Taylor, if it's not Emeka Egbuka, go take the highest rated D tackle at that point, best available D tackle, because you do kind of need to shore up that defensive line. I'm gonna be honest, because they lost Poona Ford, they re-signed Tyir Tart, who was great, but Poona Ford was definitely their guy last year. So go get yourself a D tackle, a nose tackle, whatever you want. Because you want to win in the trenches, you
Kenneth
need that.
Grant from Michigan.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
He's next to Mason Graham from Michigan this year. Those two were dominant.
Yeah, and it would make sense because, obviously, Michigan, Harbaugh.
Yep.
The connection is there. Like, there's no reason to not. So I would think that, yeah, I mean... If they went defensive lineman, would not be upset. Completely understand because that defensive line needs help. If they went Mason Taylor, would love it. Honestly, blocking, can catch, is athletic. If they went with Emeka Egbuka, would absolutely love it, right? Because that's a wide receiver. You need that firepower. But the only... Just don't go O-line, please. Please. Now, if you do go O-line, get the best guard. Actually, if you do get O line, you get the best guard because you need to replace your first overall pick from 2-3 years ago in Zion Johnson. Has not shown improvement. Has shown that he's been declining ever since he started, and it's just upsetting at this point. And it's like you get all these number one picks, which granted were from the last front office, so understandable. He was not the best. Every single time he pretty much drafted someone, they didn't really stay on the team. So, you kind of got lucky with Derwin James and Justin Herbert and Rashawn Slater because they were just best available at that point. So, I mean, if you're gonna go offensive line, you go get a guard because you need to replace him. You put him as a backup because he just has not shown improvement. You already signed the old center guard from the Raiders, who was actually really good. You just signed. You re-signed. Your center from last year. They just made another offensive line move too. I can't even remember what his name was. But I mean, it's just go ahead, go get a guard, go get someone to replace that hole. It's not much of a hole, but you just can't have Zion Johnson there anymore. It's really disappointing year after year.
Yep.
I no words after that, honestly.
There's just always stuff teams can do.
Yeah, and it's upsetting because you're just like, oh, he was good last year, and then he's not good this year, and it's just like whatever, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just tough when you draft a player and you're like, oh man, they're gonna be the next big thing. It's like perfect example is a lot of people forget this. I even forget this at times. 4 years ago, the Lions' first overall pick was Jeff Okudah.
Oh my God. I loved him. I really loved Jeff Okudah, and I'm so sad to see he didn't work out, honestly.
He's not even on the Lions. He's in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget we took him third overall.
I think he's a second stringer too. I don't even think he's a starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like look at him. He's the third overall pick, and now he's a backup in Atlanta.
Yeah. So it's just, granted, it's tough. Hey, they're in the NFL. They're doing something that we could possibly never dream of.
Yeah.
But as a fan, you always want what's best from your team. I've never wished them any harm, nothing like that. But if you're not helping, then why are you here? Stuff like that. But that's it. That's all the topics we have for today. Any last comments from you, man?
No, Scotty's gonna win. That's about it.
Oh my God, golf's going on right now.
Scotty's gonna win. Lakers get swept.
All right. Calm your horses.
No, Lakers won't get swept. I don't even know who they're gonna play yet, but they won't get swept. But,
we'll see, man. It'll be
my predictions this weekend. Scotty Scheffler wins. I think who Pole and Bahrain. I'll take them.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah. Unless it's I don't know who I would.
Hamilton. If it's Hamilton, I don't think he'll finish first.
I would keep him to win, maybe.
Really? I don't know, man. He's like
Ferrari will find a way to mess it up.
Yeah. Wouldn't even really be him. It would just kind of be the strategies that they implement. And it's Bahrain. It's Chinese Grand Prix. God, I can't.
The sprint race, he won.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think last year. Last year, what? It was raining last year in the Chinese GP?
No, it was Australia. First race of the year.
You're right.
They could have got a 1-2.
You're right, yeah.
They didn't pit, and they pit.
Man, it's all just strategy at that point. It's bad strategy.
Notoriously terrible strategy.
We'll see. That's your picks. I guess my picks. I think Max finishes second. I think we'll have Lando finish. I'll have him flipped, actually. I'll have Piastri finish first. Ooh. And I'll have Lando finish third. And then I think we'll get...
interesting for the drivers.
We'll get Kimi at fourth.
Oh, we don't even know... Whoa, we don't even know...
These are my picks, man. These are my picks, eh?
We don't even know where they're starting yet.
These are no, but this is my picks. This is my picks based off of what I saw from last week. Now, granted, I don't know too much about F1. I'm still kind of in the process of learning.
I'd wait till qualifying until you make.
All right, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on Sunday then after the race.
All it takes is Max, Lando, Oscar, and Kimi to crash in Q1, and they're starting 20th.
It's a good thing I'm in California. I can't place money on this. It's a good thing I'm not a gambler.
I'm not either.
Oh, man. But all right, man. It was great talking to you. We will have another video for all of you viewers up probably Sunday. This one will be posted tomorrow because I got to obviously do my homework for school because we're responsible adults. Never forget that. But all right, man. Good talking to you, dude. Thank you again.
Yep.
All right.